Hello, this is Adam Bratz, a student in the database reporting class at NTC, and this is going to be my proposal to the DRAirline database that we've been working with all semester. So what I proposed that we should do to the database would be to implement a certification table. And what this really means is it would be a table tied to the personnel table that we have in the database, and it would allow HR employees as well as flight coordinators to easily see the certification levels of the personnel that are on each and all of the flights in the airport. It also covers pilot experience, their certification levels, and it'll also give employees an overall ladder and a tiered system that they can feel a part of, as well as incentive to get further certified and work up that ladder to possibly get better pay and benefits. So here's how it would tie into our database using our ERD. So here's our personnel table, and it would use a primary key, certification ID, that would reference a foreign key in the personnel table, as well as our name and description rows or columns. And so here's the creation of the table. Pretty simple layout. It's named certification, like I said, with the ID of certification ID, which is going to be an int, and then invarchar 50 for the name and 100 for the description. So the name is going to be kind of a simplified version of what the certification level is, which I'll get more into later, and then the description will be more of a detailed description on what this certification entails. And here we are adapting the existing table. So like I said, this certification table references or is referenced by the personnel table. So what I ended up doing is adding the certification ID column to our personnel table, and then creating that column into a foreign key that would reference our certification table. And what this allows for is easier updates. So if the certification would change in the future, you can just update the certification description without having to update the personnel table, and then the changes will reflect across all personnel. It also allows for detail when needed and detail when not. So the descriptions are kind of lengthy, so it allows us to kind of compact that down for easier reading as well. So here's our levels. I have level 1 through 3 for the flight attendants. Level 1, economy business, 2, first class flyers, and 3 would be very important people like presidents and foreign officials. And then 4 and 5 is reserved for our pilots, which is ATP level 1, passenger and cargo under 100 ton, and then ATP specialist over 100 ton. What this will allow is for flight coordinators to designate the proper pilot to the proper flight, depending on who's going to be on the flight, so they can cater to people more efficiently. Here we are updating our certification levels in the personnel table. So here's those certification IDs, the foreign keys. This will also allow, like I said, HR workers or flight officials to see easily who has what level, so that they can easily assign that person. So let's say we need a level 2 pilot to fly for like a president or an embassy foreign official. We just look down our list and say, okay, we have 4 and 5 for those. We need a 5. All right, we'll get Ashley to fly. So easier designation that way. Here's our data set. That's going to grab our first and last name and job title from the personnel table and tie that to our certification table using that primary and foreign key, get our name and our description of our certification. And here's just our creation of our data our data source. And then our report will consist of the grouped types of personnel. It should be flight attendants and pilots. You can expand each category to see the workers in that category along with their name, description, hours flown, as well as the pilots. So you can collapse each one depending on what information you need to see. So overall, I feel like this would be a good addition to the database. It would allow, like I said, easier designation of employees and more information when needed to select the proper personnel for the proper flight. Thank you.